and record this promo. Okay, so I hit record. So whenever you're ready, take one and be goofy and screw around.
Okay, this is Hillary DeCesar, the Relaunch Co. And I am with Jeff Smith. And I got to tell you, Jeff, I'm just not hearing enough laughter out of you. You're really bringing only about an 11. Are you not happy with me today? I needed to go to a 20. Come on. Increase the volume of your laughter.
Awesome. I love that. Most people want me to shut up. All right, I'm going to hit stop. I'll be right back.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Tim James, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
Jeff, it's going fantastic. I love that beautiful beach behind you.
It's a virtual beach.
That's right.
All TV shows have the virtual beach now. Okay, so you are at chemicalfreebody.com. Talk a little bit about what you're most excited about in your business today.
Well, what I'm most excited about is because of podcasting, actually, in the last few months, we've been able to reach close to 200,000 people. And
wow.
Our products are getting out the door. In fact, we just sold out of our main product, the green juice formula, the green 85 juice formula, and that'll be back in stock June 30th. So I guess I'm just most excited about every day now because we've had helped so many people. I'm getting text messages and instant messenger and Facebook messages and Instagram messages and emails about, hey, my gas and my bloating's going away. Another gal just said I lost 12 pounds. My energy's back. My headaches are gone. Because we deal with a lot of people from, folks that just want to lose a few pounds. A lot of people want to get their energy back, which is like falling off a log easy for us because we understand how the body works now. I didn't 10 years ago, as we'll probably get into.
Right.
But and then I because of my background, we would deal with a lot of cancer patients and, everybody in between with fibromyalgia and gut issues and Hashimoto's and thyroid problems and all these things. And it's just the messages that keep coming in. It's like, that's like my fuel, man. I'm like, wow,
this is working.
We can really do this. Like it's happening, Right. It's like, shit, this is real. So that's amazing. It's actually been surreal. So that's been a blessing.
Congratulations. And thank you because we need this. I can say like I experienced like my story, my health growth story. We'll get into that as we talk about your story. How's that sound? So let's go back in time and talk about little Tim growing up all those years ago. You're not that old, but where did you grow up?
Well, I actually grew up over in Eastern Oregon on a cattle and hay farm outside of a little town called LeGrand, Oregon.
Okay.
It's kind of bedroom community or whatever up in the mountains. And, pretty much grew up standard American diet. And I was hunting and fishing all the time with my buddies and like
running around in the woods.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Like I had a 22 rifle in my car.
Love it.
A 222 for coyotes. And then I had my 30-06 in case there was a deer,
Just in case. Meat.
Yeah, and then the 12-gauge shotgun because we're always hunting, and then fishing poles. I mean, literally, it's like our motto was, if it flies, it dies. It's brown, it's down. Okay?
I like that. All right.
That was the model.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the city folks probably didn't dismayed it, but we also made fun of Portland hunters because people come down with Portland, they'd stumble out, they didn't even know what they're doing. Half of them are drunk, and
well, they're
not
just
that the
there
people
to play
from Eastern
cards
Oregon
and drink.
weren't.
Yeah.
Not that the people from Eastern Oregon weren't too, but I just wasn't into that thing. So it's funny now because now I live in Portland. So now my buddies from back home, they call me the Portland hunter. And it's like, it just really gets me. But, so anyway, okay. I left there and I played baseball at a high level for about 30 years. And then,
wow. Okay.
Just got standard American diet, had a couple kids and a house and a wife. And at age 37, found myself about close to 40 pounds overweight. Had acid indigestion so bad I was eating Tums and Rolaids all day long.
Ouch.
And then these skin issues developed on my elbows. I had eczema on both of them.
Yeah.
And finally, a huge patch of eczema on my knee.
Okay.
And that was getting bigger. And if I bumped into a coffee table, it was like somebody stabbed me with an ice pick. It was so painful.
Okay.
It was gross too. And then on the back of my shoulder, I had this.
I have a skin thing too. So
like
I get it.
Stuff bubbling up. And it was like,
Ew.
my belly's sticking out. And I'm in my mind, I'm still an athlete. I've got acid reflux all the time. I'm not sleeping good. My energy's down. Shit, I could barely drag myself out of the house to go walk the dogs. If I didn't have dogs, I probably would have stopped moving. That's where I was at.
Right.
And but the dogs can't walk themselves, so I had to take care of them. And I wasn't feeling good. And then finally, and the worst part was like I was bleeding rectally, so I had blood coming out in my stools. And
God.
Every time I go to the bathroom, I was like, well, I hope that goes away. And I just ignored it. And doctor wanted me going to Prilosec, and that sounded weird to me. So I ended up on a trip down to, we were just below, we were in northern Peru, below Ecuador, in a town called Tumbes. And it ruined the whole trip for my wife and her dad and everybody, because I had to get basically life flighted out of there, and I had to have emergency surgery and have an organ removed.
Wow.
In the nick of time. And then so that my health was completely out of control. And what I realized is that my poor health and my poor health choices didn't affect just me. They affected everybody else around me, because I had destroyed their trip. But this is going on in America 24/7, where it's like you have to take care of people, and so many people in their prime earning times in their 40s and 50s are now taking care of their moms and dads, running them around to hospitals and trips all the time. And it's a pain in the ass. So what happening was my buddy actually got, it was a blessing. Charles got diagnosed with cancer, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. And he's like, hey man, come over and meet me. And he dropped the news on me. And this was right after I lost one of my baseball player buddies to stomach cancer, who was 40.
Wow.
Was close to my age.
Yikes.
And he left
That's
3
scary.
little boys behind, ages 6 to 17. So it was like,
wow.
Holy shit, like my grandma died of brain cancer. My aunt died of skin cancer. My brother had some skin cancer. Another family member had cancer. But now it's like, wow, somebody my age actually died of it. So Kalei Mahoy passed away. We did a fundraiser for him and all this stuff, and it's for his boys. And it was it was horrible. And you have all these big, tough men on this baseball team, and all we're at the funeral just bawling our faces off. And it was terrible.
Horrible. Yeah.
It was horrible. And the wife, it was just terrible, right? So now my other buddy, Charles, at age 43, now he's got this newly diagnosed cancer deal, and there's no cure. So he's like, based on Western medicine, they were just going to wait until they hopefully find a cure. Until then, you do experimental treatments. And if it gets bad, they'll hit you with chemo and knock it back. But when it comes back the second time, it comes back with a vengeance, and then you're pretty much toast. So he's like an entrepreneur.
So that's the kind of that was his path. That's what the Western medicine people said. It's like,
yeah, we'll wait and see.
All we've got is experiments for you.
Pretty much. And we'll knock it back with chemo. And so he's like, screw this. So we went to some of these meetings for this chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Sure. I couldn't even pronounce the damn thing when I first heard about it. I'm like, what? And then all these people in this room looked white and pasty, and all they did was moan and complain about, I'm on 12 medications, I'm on 14. Well, I'm on 40 medications, I'm on 50. And they just talked about their problems. And then I called it the revolving door of death, because they just keep dying and new people came in. There was no solution, right?
Right.
But what do I know about cancer? I mean, there's a race for the cure, and all this billions of dollars are being spent. I don't know jack about health or anything back then. I thought I did, because I was an athlete, and I thought I was eating lots, chicken and meat for protein that was going to build my muscle. So anyway, Charles is like, look, we're going to go to this place in Florida. It's called the Hippocrates Health Institute. They're a natural healing clinic. They've been around 61 years at the time, now 65. Okay. And they basically just put us on purified water, two of these fresh green juices a day, a live, raw, living food, plant-based diet, which was like, I was freaked out. Completely freaked, because he didn't tell me.
You're a meat guy.
Yeah, he didn't tell me about it either.
Right. Okay.
Until we got on the plane flight. And by the way, there's no meat, no dairy, no salt, no sugar. And I was like, what? I was like, what am I going to eat? And I'm literally freaking out. But I'm like, wait a minute. Charles is dying of cancer. Like, they probably got salads, Tim. Just eat salads for a couple weeks. You'd be fine.
Sure.
But I'm literally freaked out. Like, nobody would have been able to take meat away from me. Like, I had a brand, like somebody for my birthday gave me a branding iron which said TG on it. So if you came over for dinner, I'd brand your steaks and then serve them.
So definitely a steak loving, meat eating guy.
Yeah, barbecuer and the
Yes.
wood chips. I was really into this kind of stuff, and as my whole livelihood, we had a meat pit and a meat grinder and a meat saw, and we made our own jerky and
Wow.
pepperonis and sausages and all that stuff. And so meat was like a big part of my life, and I thought it was part of being a man. So anyway, we go there, and there's no meat, right? And the first guy that comes out is this Dr. Scott. He's a medical doctor, and this guy's just jacked. He's full of muscles. I'm like, Jesus, this guy's ripped.
Yeah.
And I find out that he's a bodybuilder and a medical doctor, and he taught a class called Internal Awareness. It was a 3.5-hour lecture. And by the time he got done talking, I'm like, oh my God, because what he said is that most people have about 10 pounds of impacted fecal material in the colon.
Right.
And it's nasty. It's nasty. And it's all this stuff in there. And I'm like, what?
Right.
And then he was like, yeah, you guys are going to have to do colonics, and this where you sit on a tube rectally and water goes in and out of you. And I was elbowing Charles going, what are you getting me into? Jesus, there's nothing to eat here. Now they're going to put a tube in my butt.
Yeah.
And then when that guy got done talking, I'm like, sign me up, because he explained from the time you chew food until the time it exits your body, what goes on. I'm like, where's this information? How come nobody knew? Nobody taught me this. My parents didn't. School didn't teach me this.
Right.
So I signed up. I got a colon hydrotherapy. And Jeff, in 50 minutes, I dropped 10 pounds of impacted fecal material and mucoid plaques that were lining my intestinal tract.
Wow.
And within the first day on that place, my acid indigestion was gone. I went through kind of what's called a healing crisis. Where
Sure. Yeah.
You detox and you get cold and
that
flu-like
detox
symptoms.
flu. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, you can have rashes break out as your body's pushing out toxins. Now it's releasing things. Basically, what they call it is like surgery without a knife, and it really is.
Okay.
Night sweats. You can't sleep sometimes. One lady,
freaky dreams.
Listen to this one. So what they said was our bodies are getting too acid because we have an acid-based lifestyle with this standard American diet, and they alkalize the crap out of you and oxygenate you with all these fresh vegetables and sprouts and stuff, and you change the internal terrain. Well, harmful organisms like viruses and bacteria and molds and yeast and fungus and parasites, they like low oxygen and high acid. They love it. So it's a beautiful place for them to live and thrive. And you change it and they leave. And that's why people would have parasites crawling out their pores. One lady had a parasite crawling out of her eye.
Oh my God.
They're coming out in the stools. When you're going to the bathroom, you're seeing like stools will be covered in like a white fluffy stuff, all these little parasites coming off. And sometimes the big long ones were coming out. And people are like, had no idea that over 50% of people have parasites.
Yes.
Right?
Wow.
And it's like, we can't see it. So we're in denial. Oh, I don't want to touch my butt. And it's like, just stay away from there.
Wow. Yeah.
And I get it, because I was one of those people. But once I learned about this stuff, I'm like, I got to get that stuff out. Okay.
Right.
I got to treat my body like a car. I'm going to take it into the shop and tune it up. So that's the way I looked at it. And then I started interviewing everybody around there. And I'm like, how could this little podunk place be helping people heal of cancer when all these people are spending money, billions on research? And what I learned is that all that stuff is really, they're on the completely wrong path. The way to heal the body is to build up the immune system, cleaning the body out and detoxing the digestive tract and detoxing the organ systems and purifying the blood and the fat and the muscle tissue and flooding the body with good purified restructured water and flooding the body with good nutrition and giving the body the building blocks and the tools it needs to heal itself. Right. And they will tell you at that institute, they've never healed anybody in 65 years. They help people to heal themselves. And so that's what happened. I lost 11 pounds the first week. We came home. Charles and I followed the diet and the lifestyle, and we just kept learning and doing and growing sprouts and doing all this stuff. And a little over 2.5 years, my friend had healed himself of cancer. And within 2 months, all my skin issues were gone. I lost the 38 pounds. It took 8 months for that big patch of eczema to go away on my knee. Yeah. But I felt good about myself again. And every day was like surreal. Like I could see my ribs
like a new
again.
Normal every day for a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
And I've been able to maintain this now for like 10 years. Right. So my buddy like heals himself right in front of my face, like of cancer, supposedly. And
he had a death sentence before he showed up there.
Yeah. He kept one foot in each door. He's like, I got to do whatever it takes to live. So he was still going to the Western medical community for scans and updates and check-ins and still doing the healing stuff on the natural side. And we would go, I'm not going to leave the doctor nameless, but the guy's like, okay, that's great. Your blood's improving. Your testosterone's up 100 points and your white blood cell count's dropping. But, you still have cancer and, eventually you're going to break down and, you're going to need a pneumonia shot because you're going to get pneumonia. So I'm going to prescribe you a pneumonia shot. And we learned at the Institute that there's things in those shots that you don't want to put in your body, like aluminum and and methyl mercury and all these crazy shit. They desiccated human cells. I mean, it's crazy what they put in inoculations today. I was sitting there going like this, shaking my head. No, don't do it. And Charles told me, he goes, now, Tim, when we go in here, I want to make sure that you don't talk because, because he didn't want me to go off. So I'm sitting there biting my lip. And then finally this guy's like, yeah, so you're going to, and Charles like, no, I'm not going to get the shot. He goes, as long as I'm improving, doctor, and my immune system's boosting and my white blood cell count is trending downward, which is that's what you want. That's what they're looking for this cure.
Right.
Because the white blood cells in this chronic lymphocytic leukemia stack up and they start to doing surgeries and removing lymph nodes. They're chopping you apart until you die. It's terrible. Yeah. And finally, I'm like, he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, look, Charles, you're going to get pneumonia. He starts writing the prescription and he hands me, he goes, just go down and book your appointment and get it. And they're going back and forth. And then finally I'm like, hey, look, dude, he ain't going to do it. I mean, don't you get it? And he looked at me and then he just looked away and he's like, look, just go do it. He acted like I didn't even exist. I was just like so pissed at this guy. I'm like, dude, you have somebody healing right in front of your freaking face. Right. And you are supposedly the top specialist in CLL, this type of cancer in the United States. Why aren't you taking notes and sharing this with your other people? And instead of sending them to the revolving door of death. Right. That meeting group. So anyway, long story short, he heals himself. And right before Charles was technically even back to normal, him and I, his idea, we ran the 2012 Portland Marathon together. And we ran and raised money for the Lymphoma Leukemia Society because they actually had helped Charles out with some bills. So not only did he have to deal with cancer, but he had his big business filed bankruptcy and just lost everything. And then now he's just like thriving, playing guitar. He learned guitar, started a band. His business is thriving. He's starting another business and it's 10 years and he's healthy. Right. Yeah. So that was the beginning part of my story. And then from there, I had a buddy come over. But you probably
lost all that weight, right? You lost.
Yeah. He lost 60 pounds, boosted his testosterone and healed himself of cancer. Like again, right in front of me. So
in his journey, like of healing, you got better, right? I mean, you went from starting, right? You lost the 40 pounds or whatever it was, right? Everything, all of those aches, pains, rashes, everything slowly. It takes a while. Yep. Doesn't happen overnight, but they fade. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I had a buddy of mine who I'm actually going to see today to be on his podcast downtown. We're getting recorded. John, and he comes over and he's like, oh, what's all this sprouts and stuff? And so I told him the whole story. He's like, will you grow them for me? I want to do this too. He's into health. And I'm like, dude, and back then I was a financial advisor. I'm like, it's a lot of work, dude. I'm like, I'm up. I got to be at the meetings every morning at 8 a.m. I got to get up at like 5 to do all this stuff, plant, water and all these things. And I'm just figuring it out.
It's a lot of work.
He talks me into it. I'm like, all right, I'll grow you a couple trays. then the next day he brings over a friend, Eric, and he's like, hey, tell Eric your story. So I told Eric the story, and Eric's like, will you grow me some sprouts? And I'm like, dude, I can't do it. And so I'm growing him a couple trays. And then before too long, these people just keep sending me people over, and I keep telling the story. And all of a sudden I'm growing sprouts. I had to double my rack in the kitchen. And the kids are helping me growing all this stuff. And then finally I told my wife, people would just show up at like Friday afternoon. We got like date night. Like, I'm sick. I have cancer. Can you help me? And I'm like, come on in. I'm just like, date night's over. So finally, I told my wife, like, we need to like set a schedule and just like have people come over just on Wednesday nights. And then we'll just do that and tell everybody that. So we started doing that. And then very quickly, the Wednesday night classes filled up and I started teaching proper, chemical, how to detox the body. And then we'd make them fresh juices, then make them a fresh living food meal. I turned out to become a raw food chef in this whole thing. And then, and that filled up. And then we started doing it on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I started teaching classes at grocery stores on the weekends and hospitals and churches and community centers and apartment complexes. And sometimes I'd go over to people's homes and just do a little private class with a little family. I was just like, I don't know what was come over me. I had to tell people about this. And this went on for 5.5 years. And then that's what started Chemical Free Body is that finally my little brother got killed in a mountain biking accident. Oh. And wow. I was really struggling with that for about 6 months, and I was still doing financial advising, but now my whole garage was retrofitted into a growing operation. We were delivering sprouts to 50 families a week, most of them cancer patients. And I'm like, what am I going to do? It's like, Troy, what do you want me to do? And he said very clearly, I'll do what you love and do it now. So I said, that's it. And I called up my financial advisor partner that I was going to take over his business, which was a multi-million-dollar business. And I said, Jeff, I'm out. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, I'm getting out of the financial services industry. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I said, I'm going to go help people with their health. I don't know. And he's like, well, how are you going to make money? I was like, I have no idea. But I can't do this anymore. I have to. I said, my little brother just died, and that could have been me. And like, what am I doing? Like, this isn't what I want to do. It's like, it's not about the money anymore. It's not fun. I don't want to run around and do presentations. And I enjoyed helping people with their money, making their money safe, but I would rather talk. Obviously, I mean, I'm teaching classes for free, feeding people for free for 5.5 years. Like, I need to go.
And you're saving people's lives. That's pretty rewarding stuff.
I'm helping people save themselves.
Their own lives. Yes.
I can't do it for them, but
right.
I'm just like, I have to do this. And I bought a dry erase board, a big one. I started writing down what I could do. And I started coaching people for free for like 2 years. And then I finally started charging a little bit. And then eventually, it's just hard to sell sprouts and deliver them all over the world. You can't do it because they're perishable. I mean, it was even hard in you'd have hot days in the summer and the sunflower sprouts would droop.
It's almost like if you want to do that, you kind of have to do it yourself almost.
Yeah. So we're teaching people to grow sprouts and that kind of stuff. So what I did was I developed with Dr. Scott Treadway's plant-based formula. He's been at it for 37 years. And the cool thing is that people that I work with today, like Dr. Treadway he's like 72 years old, but his skin looks like he's 35. Okay?
Right.
He's not just saying something, he's living it, breathing it. He does meditation and yoga and all this stuff. So he helped me create our Green 85 juice formula. And that's how we help people replace and make fresh juice in like a minute. So it's very highly concentrated. And I know there's a lot of green juices out there in the market. I just tell people, try them all, whatever you want to do. But when you see ours, you'll see the difference because I'm a fanatic about this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Because I've learned to read labels, and then because if you're not reading labels, then you're 95% of the chance you've got toxins going to your body. Right. Now, what just happened is the FDA. I just saw this yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, but they just relaxed the labeling stuff. Now, my assistant sent this to me, and I was like, "Oh shit, the FDA is messing with labels. Great, they're going to make me retool, more expense to me. It's more bullshit." And I was pissed, but I didn't read the article, and then I read it, and it said it relaxed the rules. The bottom line is that what just happened with the FDA is that manufacturers can put whatever they want into a product today, and they don't have to tell you. They don't even have to change their label. So now reading labels doesn't even matter at all.
Wow.
It's just, and I'm like, what are they doing this for? So think about this, just from the basis of people with nuts and peanut allergies and stuff like that.
Right.
Gluten allergies. And they have to say now, manufactured in a place that has gluten and nuts and that kind of stuff.
Right. Now, just in case you have an allergy.
Yeah, that's out the door. They could manufacture in that place and it'd be cheaper, and then you could have an anaphylactic shock and you could possibly die. So now we're recommending that if you have these allergies, you really need to call the companies, get to know the owners, find out what they're doing, what their passions are, because if they're too big, most likely they get bought out or they'll put whatever in there. You better be carrying a couple of those EpiPens with you because it's like war zone now. And I think a lot of it has to do with the COVID stuff and trying to bump up the death counts. But I mean, it's a war right now, and you have to understand that
it is.
If the labels now are not sacred anymore at all, even though they were completely corrupt with manipulating words. I mean, natural flavors, as an example, for 70 years means only 10% can be natural, 90% can be chemical. And you think natural flavors, well, that sounds good. It's natural. It's not. It's 90% chemical in most cases.
Yeah.
Right? But now, again, the label doesn't even matter. So anyway, I'm getting off track here, but that was my story. And now we have a free body, and we're trying to help. We send kits out, detox and nutrition kits to people to help them basically be like a clinic in a box at their home. And then we have private coaching and then private group coaching to help assist them and lead them and help them get their freaking health back.
And it's not just like, so thanks for sharing that, because that was an amazing story, an amazing journey. I went through similar stuff, not as drastic, but a couple of things that take home for me is like my brother is struggling with weight. He's overweight. Mm-hmm. He had I think he's like 53, and he had something like a heart attack, but not a heart attack. And he goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, lose 100 pounds and quit drinking. Okay, so somebody that's 100 pounds overweight, you can't just tell them to lose 100 pounds. You can.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it. Thanks.
Right. And you get zero support, right?
Yeah.
And I even told him that. I was like, how is that even, helpful? It's like, you need to lose 100 pounds. Have a nice day. That's where we're at, So
Yeah.
I would like, it's great that the population that you landed on was desperate for help because they're banging on your door, right?
Mm-hmm.
The folks like my brother, they're, I think, just at that point where I think he's almost just like, well, this is it, I can't lose 100 pounds. You and I know he can, but he's got to want to,
Yeah.
How do I motivate him to want to lose 100 pounds, to take that on? Right.
Well, what I've learned is that you can't push a rope. Yeah. And you can't herd cats. So,
Right.
And unfortunately, our friends and our family members are the closest to us. When we start making changes for ourselves, a lot of times they're the most negative.
Right.
Or if you try to help them out, they're like, screw you. What do you know?
Right.
Because they're too close. Whereas I can come in as a complete stranger, even if I didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground, and I say something, they probably do it just because a stranger said it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So what I recommend to people, if you want to help your brother, help yourself and be an example and
Right.
provide the inspiration for him and provide that gift for him so he can see you changing yourself. Not that you're pushing anything on him. You're saying,
Right.
wow, this is working for me.
Right.
Getting the best shape of my life. And he sees it month in, month out, day in. And he might come out in the first 2 weeks, say, I want to do this with you. It might be
Right.
2 months, it might be 2 years. He may never do it, but that's
Right.
the gift you give him. You give it. And what do you do with a gift? You give it and you walk away and let
Right.
people do what they want.
Just be the
You-
example. Yeah.
Be the example, man. That's what
Right.
it's all about. And then it's like you inspire them to change themselves. Not that they will, but that's like our motto over here at Chemical Free Body is like change yourself,
Yeah.
change your world.
Right.
That's
No,
that's
yeah.
it.
That's it.
You can't change other people.
Stop trying to change the world. Just change yourself.
Yeah, and by changing yourself, your world will change. I can tell you,
Definitely.
my world has drastically changed. I was in a
You are
suit
in a
and tie
different
every day,
world.
overweight, falling apart health wise, focused on money, still
Right.
loving my family and doing that stuff. But it's like shit. I mean, I should have saw. I mean, looking back now, I had all these people coming in with like 40, 50, 100, rental properties, big, huge schedules of real estate, and they're very wealthy or they had huge portfolios of money. I remember this one couple, they were very old and they owned like $1 million homes on the beach and $1.7 million home in Northwest Portland up here and rental properties and tons of cash, right? But 3 or 4 times they had to cancel the meetings right in the middle of the meeting because the wife's acid indigestion and reflux was so bad. It was so terrible. And she was in so much pain. I said, are you okay?
Right.
And she's like, no. And I'm like, I was like, yeah. And this was back before I knew any of this stuff. I'm like, what are the doctors telling you? And she's like, well, they gave me all these pills. And she couldn't even sleep at night sitting down. She had to start setting up, just create a bunch of all pillows and stuff and set up because if she laid down, the acid would come up. And I'm like, that can't be good. And they went to another doctor and then they put her on more pills, different pills.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, dude, maybe you should this is again, before I got into the health stuff, I was like, maybe you should look into one of those naturopath deals because it seems like if you go to the medical doctors, it's just a different pill. And I know those aren't good for you, but I don't know much about it.
Right.
I didn't know any.
And the thing is
financial advising, but not that stuff.
I think when you get to like close to 40, that's when it happened to me. Mm-hmm. Even before, like back when I was in the Air Force and I was brewing beer with my buddies.
Yeah.
I noticed that they could stand around the boiling brew, and no problem. They would stand for 3 hours while that shit was boiling. And I'd be looking for a place to sit out.
Yeah.
I just had that I can't stand, right? Couldn't stand, couldn't walk. I was in this sort of like pain that is like below my level of awareness, if that makes any sort of sense.
Right.
It's like, I know it's there, but I thought it's normal and everybody had it.
Yeah.
And then what really woke me up is because I took a trip to Portland.
Portland's weird, they say.
Portland is a big walking city. So we were hanging out, and the event that I wasn't attending, but I was sort of like lurking at, was at the library downtown. So nobody had rental cars. We were all just on buses and the trains, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't keep up with my friends. And I was like, I'm not that old. I have to do something about this. I have to,
Yeah.
And that's, it just so happened that a lot of those folks were vegan and raw food people and really into health. And I started slowly. I think the first thing I did was I got off of sugar.
Genius.
But that was such a huge change. Like the chronic pain went away. I ended up, I went to massage school eventually. I learned a lot about like orthopedics and trigger point therapy and just like the whole idea that muscle pain is this orphaned organ in the medical community. There is no doctor whose job it is to fix your muscle pain. That's on you.
Yeah.
They're just going to give you more NSAIDs. But anyway, I digress. But eventually I got to learn about how to make my own green smoothies. So I'm really into the micronutrient smoothies that I make. So I make like 3 quarts of micronutrient smoothie, and they last about 3 or 4 days. I won't not eat those ever again because it changed my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people, what people need to really understand is that the standard American diet is the major problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the problem. And again, with these labeling laws flying out the door, I mean, if you don't now to the point where knowing this information and you continue to just go out and buy Campbell's soup and not check into it or bags, I mean, you're suicidal. I mean, that's where it's at today. It's a hard thing to say, but it's the reality of it. It's like, and why is it that we have like FDA and these things that are supposed to protect us and they're doing the exact opposite?
Yeah,
why
it's
is
true.
Corruption. It's corruption. And I mean, people are like, well, Tim, what? I don't believe in that and stuff. I'm like, well, dude, look around. I mean, we spend $3.3 trillion on healthcare, more than any other country in the world, and a lot of them combined.
Right.
Yet us Americans are sicker than the sickest that human beings in our species has ever been.
Right.
Chronically ill. And like you just pointed out, you're like, I got off of sugar and my problems started going away.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that the sugar molecule is almost identical in structure to a cocaine molecule.
Addictive.
They're almost identical, but it's 3 times more addictive than cocaine. So it's easier for me to get people off of cocaine than sugar. It really is.
Yeah. My sugar story is the ketchup.
The high fructose corn syrup.
But when we were kids, I don't know like when you grew up, but like one of my favorite things to do when I was in high school was Whopper Wednesday at Burger King.
Oh yeah.
And so you'd get a Whopper, but we'd also like 3 or 4 buddies would put a big pile of French fries in the middle of a tray and just like it was a ketchup delivery system.
Right. Did you ever watch that Chris Farley thing where he had that ketchup boy assistant?
No. Now I have to see this. What is
he's a chef. Look up Chris Farley like ketchup boy. Dude, you're gonna laugh your ass off.
I will.
So funny.
Yeah.
Because this one guy's like making chocolate and then Chris is doing something else, making a cake or something. He makes this big beautiful cake. And he's like, "Hey, ketchup boy!" and then the guy comes in with a cart full of ketchup, and the other chef is like, "What you got? You got a ketchup boy?" He's like, "Well, doesn't everybody, Randy?" Dude, it was so funny. You're gonna die. Everybody listening, you have got to go check out Chris Farley and Ketchup Boy. It's a riot.
I don't understand why, that the ketchup is great. It's a great story. Thanks. But the whole thing about like sugar is everywhere, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, it's like everywhere it shouldn't be. I remember, not that long ago looking at like the food in Starbucks, right? Trying to think, okay, what could I eat?
Nothing.
Well, now they have little packets with an egg and a slice of cheese and some meat or something, maybe some apple slices. I'm like, maybe, but maybe I don't want to though. Just give me a black coffee. That's all I want.
Well, sugar, there's a couple things I like to share with people. Sugar is lurking, like you just brought it up. I mean, sugar's everywhere, right?
It's everywhere.
Two things that I get my clients off of very quickly that helps them out is rice, white and brown rice. We get them off of all rice except for 100% wild rice. And you got to be careful because the label will say wild rice on the front, the package. And then you look at the label and it's like brown rice. And the second or third ingredient is wild rice. They sprinkle a little bit in there. But again, the labeling laws are out the window now, so it wouldn't matter. But anyway, rice, give an example what rice is. It's a grass seed and it's very nutritious. But but what happens if you put rice in its natural state in storage, in 6 months it goes rancid because on the outside of it, you have this rice bran. And inside of rice bran is a digesting enzyme called lipase. It digests the fats, lipid lipase. That's where it's in there. So they strip the bran off to remove the lipase, and what's left is a starchy carbohydrate. And when they strip the bran, they're actually pulling 90% of the nutrition off of the rice. And then it can be safe for long-term storage. Unfortunately, when you consume this rice in this way, not in its natural state, it turns into a mouthful of sugar, and there is trace amounts of cyanide in it, right? Lovely. So, and then they ship it over to these starving people in these countries, and they're blowing up their stomachs and killing them. So, and I used to have chicken and rice or fish and rice, and it's freaking delicious. I used to have a big bag of this homai rice, sticky rice that I'd make, and soy sauce on it, and have some broccoli with it, steamed broccoli, and then my chicken or my steak or, salmon or whatever.
Right.
But that's the worst of all food combinations. Taking a protein like a meat and mixing it with a starchy carbohydrate actually creates over 123 chemicals in the digestive tract, one of them being sulfur. That's where we get all this gas and bloating and farting from. And it destroys these intestinal villi, these little hair-like structures that are, pulling the nutrients from the food into the intestinal lining, into the bloodstream, and moving the food through us to evacuate. And it's a problem, right? And the other one is
That's
the other
a huge
one is
problem.
Oatmeal. Oatmeal is so we teach people to get off of wheat, rice, oats, barley, soy, and corn because of the genetic modification, the hybridization, all this stuff. And so oats is like same thing. You eat oats. I mean, I freaking love oatmeal. I want a bowl right now. Right. But there's this when you have choices, there's consequences. And when you eat oatmeal, you're eating a big mouthful of sugar. It's the same thing.
Right.
So anyway, we get people off of those two things, and we replace it with like quinoa would be the first thing. And just make sure you rinse off the quinoa at least once or twice, because there's these things called saponins. And there's good ones and bad ones. And some of the saponins will actually eat your digestive tract lining. Well, the ones on quinoa are bad ones. But to get rid of them, you just wash them off once or twice and they're gone. Or even better, soak that quinoa for 4 to 6 hours, technically now sprouted. And now it also releases its natural insecticides or protectants. It becomes 8 times more digestible. Wow. And the nutritional factors go up 100 to 800% simply by activating the enzymes in that nut, seed, grain, or bean, or in this situation, the seed of the quinoa.
Huh. See, now that pisses me off because I just started eating oatmeal again and I love it.
I know. Sorry about it.
Sorry, buddy.
Spoiler
alert. Oatmeal's bad.
I know. It sucks. This shit's delicious too.
It is. So
because it's sugar. It's sugar.
It's delicious.
But here's what this one lady told me in the grocery store. She goes, eating healthy is expensive. I said it's a hell of a lot cheaper than surgery.
It's a hell of a lot cheaper than dying. How's that sound?
Yeah. Or how about this? Just living your life feeling like shit.
Right.
Like, I mean, we deserve to feel freaking good. Like, and I know because I've been through that path. I felt really awesome my whole life.
Right.
And then around 24, 25, it started going down. By 37, I was molding from the inside out.
Right.
And thank God my friend got cancer. We went to that institute. I could be 400 pounds right now. I don't know. Right. I could have had a heart attack and I couldn't even be here with you.
Right.
So it's worth it. You're worth it. And for people listening that think they might not be able to change their life, you don't have to do it all at once. It's just baby steps.
Totally baby steps. Yeah.
Just changing things in the lifestyle, really. Just drinking enough water. I mean, most people aren't drinking enough water.
Yes.
Most people aren't. In fact, maybe you should ask me any question you want, but I would like to share my core 4 secrets with people.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
So this is the foundation to our program. So number 1, we teach people to drink half their body weight in liquid ounces of purified water daily. So
now,
if you weigh 200
how do you purify your water?
Well, either reverse osmosis, deionization, or distillation. We recommend triple purified because any one of those methods is only going to pull out 90% of the contaminants. So you want to run it
I'm
three
doing
times.
a reverse osmosis, but it's like that. It's got the triple. It's got like a pre and a post, and then the reverse osmosis.
Okay, so you have filters, which is not a purifier. So you're at least
Right.
pulling out 90% of contaminants, which is good. And a lot of people can get a gallon jars and start going to their local grocery store in the beginning before they do their stuff and like want to invest in water machines and start packing it. Most grocery stores will sell a gallon of water for single purified for 25 to 44 cents a gallon, something like that.
Right.
But what you want to do is you want to get a triple purification unit, and then you want to buy another unit behind it that will restructure the water, because
Wow.
in the tap, the high pressure and I used to work on water lines when I was in construction, very high pressure, right? Well, those high pressure pipes that force the water out to their whole city coagulate the molecules. The water molecules get stuck together, become big. So your intestinal tract, look at it like a chain link fence. And these water molecules are like bowling balls. You throw a bowling ball against a chain link fence, what's going to happen? It doesn't go through very well, right? It's not going to. So when you restructure the water and put it to its natural state, it becomes very tiny again, like sand. And it's like throwing sand through a chain link fence. It goes through it. So not only do you need triple purified water today because we live in a polluted fishbowl, but you also need it restructured.
Wow.
And I send everybody to a friend of mine. Her name's, I call her Water Woman. Her name's Danusha.
She's like the ketchup boy, but water woman.
Yeah, she's Water Woman. It's her name's like Donna in Polish, and then I think Danusha also stands for rainbow.
Oh, nice.
But she has a website. It's danusha.com, DANOUCHA.com, and she's my water woman. You just tell her that Tim sent you, and she can educate you, and she does appointments and stuff on water. So anyway, so the most important thing, step one, is drinking half your body weight in liquid ounces purified restructured water daily. Boom, that's number one. Number two, chewing and guess what? On the water thing, I benchmarked over 600 people. Less than 5% of people are drinking adequate amounts of water to be healthy, and those that are doing it, it's definitely not purified. Okay. Number two, chewing your food until liquefied. This is the first step in digestion. We learned this at that digestive awareness class, right? Internal awareness class at Hippocrates Health Institute in 2011. You have teeth for a reason. And when you chew your food really well, not only are you secreting enzymes, amylase and lipase, to break down your starches and your carbohydrates, that's where they go. And then they actually finish the job in the stomach, but it starts in the mouth. And if you skip that, and you're skipping the first domino in digestion, and you go boom right back to fermentation and gut rot, and you end up with leaky gut problems like I did. That's why 90% of us have some level of leaky gut syndrome, where we have these microscopic holes in the intestinal lining from our poor choices and chemicals and toxins and stress. So we want to heal that up. So chewing your food is monumental, and less than 4% of people are doing that.
Okay.
So big deal. Number three, this one is widely it's missed. Less than 2% of the population is doing this. And that's avoiding liquids with meals. Now, once you've worked really hard to chew your food well, and you send those enzymes down into your gut to digest the starches and the carbohydrates, then if you drink purified water or beer or wine or apple juice, you're going to dilute the digestive enzymes and go right back to fermentation and gut rot. So we suggest no water, 30 minutes, or liquids 30 minutes before a meal, and then wait at least 1 hour after the meal before you start drinking again. And if you're in a critical situation, like you have stage 4 something, or you want to win a gold medal, then one hour before stop drinking, and 2 hours after before you start again, and then drink a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's number three. And then the last one is breath exercises or breath work. Less than 1% of people are doing breath work before they have a meal. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, it's because we live in a stressed out world, and you've heard that thing. It's called fight or flight, or rest and digest mode. Your sympathetic and your parasympathetic, right? So the nervous system. So we are in a constant state of stress, whether we think it or. So even if you don't think you're stressed out, you are. And when you're in stress mode, not only are endorphins and stuff released, but your blood leaves the organ systems and goes out to the extremities to fight or flight, to run. And it's out there. So just by taking 1 minute, 2 minutes max, and just taking some deep breaths in through the nose, and then pause at the top, and then out through the mouth, just very slowly, calmly, and then pause at the bottom with empty lungs, and then repeat that 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times, and then have your meal. That blood will rush back into your organ systems. You can actually digest your food. And again, less than 1% of people are doing this. Now, here's the deal. You start stacking those 4 things together. And we have people set up reminders in their phone to do these things. So the phone will program you in 3 to 4 months. It's an absolute game changer. This is the foundation to our program.
Wow.
Purified restructured water,
Yeah.
doing your food until liquefied, avoiding liquids with meals, and breath work before you eat.
All free, more or less, except the water part.
The water thing will probably be the biggest investment you'll have to make in your health transition, because it's not cheap to get the one that I have. I actually have 2 units, and we send them together. Danusia will hook you up. But and then we have our products that come in as tools to help speed up the detoxification process, the nourishment process, rebuilding the bacteria in the gut. And then I've got hundreds of other hacks that we teach in our coaching program that people can slowly, like your brother could slowly layer one at a time. And when the 6 months, to a year, create a whole new lifestyle, and his body will then respond differently. And if he boosts his immune system up, then, and do these things, then the weight's going to be weight loss will be a natural byproduct of a healthy gut and a healthy immune system.
That's awesome. Thanks for that.
Yeah, man.
Look, do we have time to ask about pain?
Sure.
Talk about pain management, or what you do for pain.
Well, hopefully, we can get to a point where we don't have to manage pain. I know there's some mechanical things that will happen with some people. Are you talking about yourself? Do you have something specific we could talk about?
No, just like the generic, I just played with my kettlebells. I just played with kettlebells, and I'm 50. And
so
that
recovery
kind of stuff. Yeah, recovery. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so everything I just shared with you, those core 4 secrets, is going to help.
Right now, I do like aspirin and beer, and I know that's probably not the best way.
Yeah, so I would recommend aspirin's toxic. It's a poison.
Okay.
So I would recommend you go to white willow bark, because that's where aspirin comes from. And you get the full spectrum of nutrients. So like if somebody has they're going to get teeth removed, or a tooth, like a root canal pulled, then we recommend they'll do a high dose CBD orally. We'll have them take arnica, which is a homeopathic pain reliever, and then also white willow bark. And between those 3, they don't need Vicodin or anything. I mean, I had my 70-some-year-old mother at the time. She had 6 teeth pulled. I put her on that combo, and
wow.
I also get a bottle of 50% THC and 50% CBD, and I squirt a little bit out in there to kind of help her with the anxiety going into the deal.
I'm looking forward to the day that I don't have a federal job, so I can do all those things.
Well, but you could do the CBDs, because that's not THC. That's not from the marijuana plant. That's the hemp plant. So you just have to make sure. I have a supplier that's it's 100% pure CBDs, and there's no problem with jobs. And I know people are like, well, I don't want to lose my job, but I don't want to take the chance. I'm like, look, dude, it's like you're comparing an orange to a 1976 Volkswagen. They're completely different.
They CBDs have been around a while now, and I think, I'm not absolutely sure, but I'm pretty sure just recently they changed the law, or at least the rule for my job, that if they test you on a periodic for any sort of substances, and you have CBD, it's going to show positive, and that's then you're fired. But I've never done it. But so I'll ask. I'll ask my my HR.
Your body
people.
actually has CBD receptors all throughout the body. Your body is you get it from food.
No, I want to switch to weed.
It's so stupid. This is the level of corruption we're talking about. So anytime the government gets involved, think about going to DMV or the post office. Okay, right? That's the level of government service, right? They're broken systems. They don't care. We're gods. You have to do what we say. Get in line. Call between. And they don't do anything really. Well, not everything, but most things are bass backwards, and they're not having our best interests in heart. Think about it. I mean, you can't run a business like that, or you'd be out of business. Nobody want to come see you. They're like, I don't want to go see that company. They're terrible. But right, you wouldn't be around long. But we're forced to do it.
You're right.
Forced inoculations. Force you to get contact tracing. Forcing you to wait in lines. Forcing you to wear masks. Forcing you to stay 6 feet apart. It's all this stuff is it's a joke. I mean, it really is, and people are waking up. And I just we're getting off here, but we should get back to the pain. I'm gonna go off on a tangent.
Say the name of that. So white root bark, is that what it was?
White willow bark.
White willow bark. Okay.
But the best thing for pain is, because you have inflammation, is water. Okay. Tremendous amounts of purified, restructured water, and it's very important, because I'll tell you, you can drink a lot of water, but you'll be like me for years. I'll just peeing it out. Once I got my water restructured, I drank it, and it just disappeared. I was like, whoa. I drank some more, and it disappeared. And then an hour or 2 hours later, then I peed a lot. I'm like, oh wow. It's
So
finally
it's
going.
not just kind of like stuck in your gut.
Yeah, it's going through your whole system and filling your cells full of.
Restructure. Interesting.
And you can burn calories effectively and lose weight. It helps fill up your lymphatic system.
Can I put one of those restructurers after the reverse osmosis system?
Absolutely. And that's what we have people do. We have them put a triple purifier in and then run the water through that and then through the restructuring device and then drink it. And you got some badass water.
Nice.
So that water is number one for inflammation. Lots of green juices. That's why we promote, our greens.
Right.
Turmeric root and turmeric root juice. And
that's
ginger.
like food for your gut.
It's all, these are inflammation reducers. We also recommend grounding or earthing. So, if you're not in contact with the ground, you instantly have more inflammation. So it's as important as air, water, and food, and people are not grounding. So I have a grounding mat I sleep on. I'm actually in contact with one right now with my bare feet while I'm talking to you and my bare hands on my desk. I'm always grounding because it's instant inflammation reduction. It's Earth's energy. So
that's kind of like walking barefoot on grass kind of
exactly.
idea. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And
that's
it's
huge.
Powerful stuff.
That is huge.
Free medicine. It's outside. I get to go outside. It's free medicine.
Just don't step in poop.
Well, that's not bad because
it's not so bad.
Good bacteria. That's good microbiome. You're going to pick that up. That's why dogs eat poop to load up their microbiome.
That's awesome.
So this earthing stuff is so important. Like people think it's woo because I used to be that person, and we can actually do what's called live blood cell microscopy. Take a prick of your blood, look under a microscope. You'll see your blood moving around or whatever. You go outside for 2 hours and lay naked on the ground or barefoot or lay on one of these grounding mats. And in 2 hours, then we come back, prick your finger again, look at the blood. Your blood will be racing around. So blood that's moving faster is going to be going to farther into the capillaries, into deeper areas where they might have nerve pain and neuropathy, bringing nutrients to working muscles and cells and pulling the inflammation, that water retention out. So people, it's everything. So that's why grounding is so important. It's a real deal. But getting good sleep, drinking lots of water, detoxing on a daily basis.
Vitamin D, that's a new thing for that I've just gotten into.
Those things are really
vitamin D deficient.
Yeah, inflammation. We have a product called it's going to be called Pain Recover, but right now it's called Recovery Power. We're changing the name, but it helps reduce inflammation. It's got a substance called magnesium orotate, and it helps to just remove lactic acid out of the body, like a shovel it out, get rid of it. It's like a bath. So,
this has been a blast. So let's wrap this up. Tell people how they can best get in touch with Tim James.
Yeah, best you get in touch with us at our website at chemicalfreebody.com.
Perfect.
That's chemicalfreebody.com. And also if they want to try out some of our bundle savings bundles and stuff, I put a discount code together for your listeners, 5% off just at checkout. Just type in VVV. Can you guess what that stands for?
Vroom vroom veer.
Vroom vroom veer, baby. 5% off.
Perfect, Tim.
We also offer on the coaching tab free coaching sessions. It's $197 value. If somebody wants one-on-one, they really want to dive deep and they're in a crisis right now and they want some help or they want to win a gold medal, we'd love to help those people. We help younger people get pregnant. It's just anything to deal with the human body, gut biome, whatever, performance. And we also have private group coaching now for people that can't afford the one-on-one stuff. And I go live every Wednesday. And I do live Q&A, and I've got about 104 members in that. We just opened it up. I've got it's kind of cool. We got a few celebrities in there already, which is kind of fun.
Wow.
But they're just people like us, so it doesn't really mean anything. But it is, they put their legs on one, their pants one leg at a time, it's no different. But anyway, so that's what we do. And I really appreciate you having me, giving me a platform to share our message again. And I hope that if there's one person out there that this message resonated with, that we can help, then it was definitely worth my time. And it was awesome. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. This has been a blast. I laughed a lot. And I learned a lot. Yeah. Water. Who knew? Now I learned a lot. And I'm going to check out what aspirin is made of. I love it. Thank you, man. Yeah. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to have to stop eating oatmeal. I'm going to have to punch you for that.
Another replacement for that is try teff. It's an Ethiopian grain. And it's kind of like cream of wheat. It's just a little teeny tiny seed. It's awesome. It's
teff.
Great. Teff and quinoa.
TEFF. Rhymes with Jeff, so I have to get it.
Dude.
All right, man.
We'll call you Tef Jeff, and you can
Tef
be
Jeff.
my coach.
There you go. Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.